Good morning, everyone. It's 10
Morning,
o'clock,
Karen.
so let's get started. First of all, thank you very much for joining us today for another of our town halls. I'm sure you're going to find it full of useful information, things you didn't know before, certainly things I didn't know before. Um, my name is Diana Hinchcliffe. I'm president of the board of RPEA. Pardon me. And before we get started, I'd just like to go over some ground rules so we can move this along and get you out at 11 o'clock or a little bit after, which is what we promised. So please silence your phones, TVs, radios, anything in the background that would make any noise. Secondly, if you could mute your computer, we would appreciate that. I can see that most people have done that, so we thank you for that. Also, if you have questions or comments for any of our speakers today, please put them into the chat, and we will read as many as time allows. Now, before we get started with our presentations, I'd like to make two introductions of new staff that we have that you should get to know. So our first is Tom Taden. He's our new executive director. Tom, would you say a few words, please?
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much, Diana. It's really great to meet you all and to be here. I've been here at RPA now for a little over 2 months. It's been a great experience thus far. Time's flying by, and I'm really looking forward to continuing the great work that RPA has done for the past 50 plus years. Um, and I'm really happy to be joined by Bianca Hadi. And I can introduce Bianca. Bianca's our new director of membership engagement. Bianca, do you want to say hello quickly?
Hi, Tom. Tom. Thanks, Diana. So excited to be here with you all. You probably have gotten many emails from me about this event, hopefully. Really excited to be working with everyone and doing the member engagement work that's already been so wonderful here at RPEA. Please feel free to reach out anytime. You'll get a follow up email from me too. So you'll definitely know how to reach me. And excited to be here for the meeting.
Thank you, both of you. And for any of you that do want to reach Bianca or Tom, you can send an email to mail@rpea.org, mail@rpea.org, and they will get the message. So now, on to our first speaker. This is someone that some of you know already. You've heard her speak at our meetings before, or maybe you've talked to her about insurance. It's Candy Marrero. Candy is our benefits advisor. She's going to talk with you about the new dental and vision insurance plans that we have with AMBA, which is an organization we've partnered with. They provide benefits to organizations like ours, membership organizations for retirees. So we're working with them, and Candy is going to be working with us to help our members with these benefits. So Candy, all yours.
Diana. Hi, everybody. As Diana said, I'm Candy Marrero. I've been working with RPA for probably close to 20 years now as your benefits person. So I've been around a long time to see a lot of things going on, and we still have some programs in place that have been in place long before my time, such as Emblem Dental and the VSP Vision that we put in probably 15 years ago. So what I wanted to explain, as Diana mentioned, RPA is partnering with AMBA, and their main function really is to build your membership, which is awesome, and I think that they're going to do a great job at doing that. But what's kind of happening with the benefits side of things is that you know when you are with this big conglomerate company, the benefits that you get from that are that they have more buying power than we have as a smaller company. They already have a lot of big corporations that they work with, that the members for RPA are going to have benefits to those companies that are already affiliated with AMBA. So there's new programs that we didn't have, such as there's life insurance options, there's long-term care options that we didn't have, and there's more and more to come. So, you know, stay tuned for that. But specifically today, what I wanted to talk about was the dental and the vision. So what has been in place for a very long time, as I said before my time, was Emblem Dental. And when Emblem Dental was created, it was created to mimic the benefits that people had when they were under the union as their, you know, as an employee at the state or the federal government, wherever they worked. The unions offered Emblem Dental. And back in the day, that's, you know, what most municipalities had, et cetera. So, you know, it's not surprising that RP has Emblem Dental. It's a great, great program. But what's the downside, I guess, to Emblem is that their network is not quite as good in many states as we'd like it to be, because of course we want to offer the same benefits across the country to all the RPEA members. So knowing that, probably about 10 or 12 years ago, you know, I went on a mission to try to find another dental carrier so we could have an alternative option. And I came up with MetLife Dental. So we instituted a program through MetLife. And back then when it started, it was a whole different program than has been offered for like the last 7 or 8 years, maybe 9 years. So initially the program that I got was something totally different. And when we came up with this new MetLife Take Along Dental, it replaced the old MetLife Dental that we had, but I negotiated it so that we could keep the people who had that old plan could keep it. So we currently have some members who have that. We have lots of members that have Emblem Dental. We have lots of members that have MetLife, but MetLife people are made up of 2 different plans. Some have the old plan from 10, 12 years ago, and some have the newer plan from whatever, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, we'll say. So the good thing is that, you know, I personally like to not take away benefits. And so I think it's always great if we can offer benefits, but people who have what they have, if they like it, it's really hard for them to let go of it. So when AMBA kind of partnered with RPEA, that was another thing that I talked to them about. We don't want people to lose their benefits. And so what we've done with this RPEA partnership is anybody who has Emblem Dental or the current MetLife Dental can keep it as is with no changes. Everything that you have, you're going to keep. But the people who are not on those programs, anybody after June 1st of this year, only has the option of what the new benefits are through AMBA. Now, we don't have any Emblem Dental with AMBA. So Emblem Dental is no longer available to anybody who's not already on it. However, the MetLife program that we have, again, people can keep it if they want to, or, you know, what we have for right now in New York to offer is 2 different MetLife programs. And literally one is slightly better than what we offer right now through RPEA, and one is slightly less benefits than we offer right now through RPEA. And the rates are accordingly. So it's about $36 for the lower plan. It's about $54 for the higher plan. And that's about average. That $50 cost is about average for dental. The higher plan has a nice $3,000 annual benefit, which is almost unheard of. In all the years I've been doing health insurance and dental and all of that, the highest dental I've ever seen was $2,500. So this actually has a $3,000 annual benefit, which is awesome. Again, it's very, very similar to what we have. It's just that one has a couple of slight lesser benefits and the other one has a couple of slight better benefits. But all in all, the main guts of it is the same. And then the same with the vision. We have a VSP program that, you know, we've had for a long time, and it took me a really long time to negotiate that program for us. Years ago, when I first came out, I had a good relationship, which I still do with VSP, and we got a really great vision plan. The ones that now they have two options through VSP for our members now. Again, one has a slightly better benefit. The other one is more similar to what we have, but the prices are a little bit higher than the current rates that we have for the current members. So I just wanted to explain that so everybody was a little bit more clear that what the benefits are, and we will have more benefits. Right now, all we have available is what they've got for New York State thus far. So RPEA is AMBA's first New York State company. They have lots and lots of organizations, lots and lots of associations, I should say, that they're doing for those associations, right? What they do for what they're doing for RPEA. But RPEA is the very first New York company. So as we all know that live in New York is regulated to death. So we have lots and lots of loopholes and, whatever I should say, to jump through to get regulation and to get things, done here, which, is good and bad. But, we only have offering right now what they already have set for New York. They have many, many other programs and products to offer us as soon as they get regulated in New York State. So I want everybody to stay tuned. I want everybody to know where, anybody who has their current benefits are not going to lose them. And then I want everybody to know that we are offering dental and vision just as always, and it's almost the same. Like I said, slightly better in one area, slightly lesser in the other. The better is a little bit higher, the lower is a little bit lower. So it kind of all works out. I don't think anybody new coming on will look at the new benefits and go, oh my God, they're horrible. They're great benefits. Some of them are not quite as good as what we had or what we have for, the current members, but they're not that far off. So I'm just going to check the chat, see.
Yeah, there's a question in the chat. I don't know whether you can answer it, or maybe this is a question for Sharon. Can you answer that? Otherwise, we'll ask Sharon to answer it.
Well, let me read the question. Why don't we get a reduction in our health insurance premium when we go on Medicare? I compared rates with AARP and supplemental policies. We are being overcharged by an obscene amount. The New York State Health Insurance Program for retirees is the largest fraud. Okay, so probably Sharon can answer that one better. I assume that that's a nice ship question, so I'll let Sharon answer that. But I don't see any other questions in here in regards to. Oh, hang on, somebody just.
Yeah. So while you're doing, oh, go ahead.
I'm a Florida resident. Can I have AMBA Vision? What about MetLife? Yes. It's not about you living in Florida per se. It's about the RPEA being domiciled in New York State. So we can only offer benefits that have been approved for New York State. It doesn't matter much where you live, other than the fact of what the network of providers are, which because we're going to have this is one advantage that we have with AMBA is that the plans that they have are kind of, we have a nationwide plan through MetLife, but because it was specifically designed for us, our network is a little bit smaller, I think, than their regular national network, where AMBA is going to have much more access to all of the MetLife, to everything with MetLife. It's weird, the program that we had, so weird that if you call, like our program through MetLife was called MetLife Take Along Dental. If you called the regular MetLife 800 number and you said, I'm looking for the MetLife Take Along Dental, they didn't even know who you were, which floored me all of the time. But they were part of MetLife, but they were, the plan was made up specifically for RPEA, and it had like almost your own little like department, if you will. Now we're going to be like in the mix of MetLife. So when somebody calls MetLife, we'll have a 800 number specific for RPA, but if you ever called MetLife, they would at least be able to find you, where up till now you had to call the certain number for MetLife Take Along Dental. So the answer to your question is, it doesn't really matter that you live in Florida, you'll be able to get these benefits.
Okay, so Sharon Beauregard is our benefits expert on staff. She's the one that you talk to if you have questions about your benefits, your health care, your pension, Medicare. So Sharon, can you answer these two questions in the chat? One of them is the one that Candy read about why we don't get a reduction in our health insurance premium when we go on Medicare. And there's a new one, another question, which is what happens if Medicare goes away or is reduced? Would we still be covered by Empire Plan? Sharon, can you address both of those?
Yes, so the reason we don't get reduced rates with the Empire Plan when we become Medicare primary is it's written into civil service law that you are reimbursed for the Medicare. And so Medicare is primary and then the Empire Plan would be secondary. If you went into any other plan like AARP there or any other of those plans out there, there is like an amount that a deductible amount that you have to meet before the plans even kick in. So that's why we do not get the reduced rate.
Can I just add something, Sharon? So just so people are clear too, on your Part B premiums, you, as you said, Sharon, if you're under night shift, you get those reimbursed to you. If you went on another Medicare plan outside of night shift, you would not get that money reimbursed to you. So you would currently in 2025, the standard rate, if you make 85,000 or less, is 180 a month. If you make more than that, if you make more than 180, or I'm sorry, if you make more than 85,000, it would be more than 180 a month. So your night shift reimburses that money. And if you go outside of there, then yes, you would not get that money back. And as you said, Sharon, most of those programs do have big upfront deductibles as well, which they don't really tell you clearly in a lot of things that you're reading.
Well, and either one of you can also answer this, I think. If you go out of NISHIP to another plan, you lose your NISHIP benefits. You cannot come back into NISHIP,
Correct.
right? So that's why if you're in NISHIP now, you have to remain in NISHIP. There's another question. AMBA has an age limit that excludes all RPEA members whose age is above that limit. Is there any relief coming for that?
I don't know about an age limit. Do you, Sharon?
No, I have not seen anything written on that.
I'll check into that and get back to you because I really haven't heard anything about an age limit.
Okay, all right. And the other Medicare question is what happens if Medicare is reduced or goes away? Would we still be covered by the Empire Plan?
If Medicare goes away, which doesn't seem likely that it will, but if Medicare goes away, then I'm sure that it'll all, we don't really know what will happen. I mean, it's not likely to go away. So it's really a hard question to answer. I can tell you that when they used to talk about Medicare for all, that would have put everyone in the same category in terms of health insurance, whether you were Medicare or non-Medicare or whoever you were. So we were all worried about that, because everybody would have just been lumped into the same kind of a program, no matter how old you were, because we were all going to have, whatever they were calling Medicare for you or Medicare for all. But I mean, if it goes away, it's kind of like when people ask me, well, what do you think is going to happen next year, Candy, with health insurance? I really don't have a clue. It's really hard to say. It's a tough one to answer. So we're all stay tuned on that. We hope that we keep everything the same. That's good. And anything that's not good, we hope it gets better. I mean, but stay tuned. We don't know.
Okay, so thank you. Here's another question. I am a retiree who is not currently signed up for dental and vision. How would I sign up for AMBA's dental and vision plans?
I will give you the 800 number. I'll put it in the chat. And that's how you would reach AMBA. And they have a dedicated, call center for you guys. So when you call, they know who you are. They know what you have. You just kind of give them your information. They can sign you all up. And certainly you can always call me if you have any questions, but I'll put the 800 number in the chat.
Well, actually, if you could just give it, some people might want to just write it down. That would be helpful too.
Okay, sure.
What?
One of the numbers is 1-833-784-2185, and that's like the customer service number. So I think that's the best number for you to start with. Well, you know what? Let me give you the second number too, just because this is specifically on my sheet. This was the original 800 number that was for my AMBA benefits for RPEA. So I'll give you both numbers. The second number is 866-619-6463. And again, I'll put those both numbers in the chat. And again, this last number I gave you was on a sheet that I have that says "Get your AMBA benefits now," and it's there's like a link to myambabenefits.info/RPEA New York. So both numbers should get you where you're going, but I just wanted you to know the second one seemed to be specific to RPEA.
And something else, you have to be a member. You must be a member of RPEA to take advantage of these benefits. So if any of you on this in this town hall are not members, you can go to our website. You can sign up with a credit card. You go to our home page, and up in the upper right-hand corner, you'll say join or renew. And just you can do that right online, and then that will make you eligible to receive these AMBA benefits. So that's important to know. We have time for a couple of other questions. Somebody who says he had cataract surgery. He doesn't have as much need for getting new glasses. He's enrolled in the VSP program. If he cancels, is there any problem with starting up the plan in another 4 to 5 years?
No, there's no problem in starting it up, but you will be only have available to you what's available, obviously, then. And so the VSP plan that you have now at the rate that you have it will be gone. Whatever's available today through I don't know when, if something will change. Again, I like to keep things in the mix if we can, to where if somebody signed up for something, if there's something new, the old, the people get kind of grandfathered in. So what I'm saying is you'll definitely not be able to ever get back on the plan exactly what you have now. And whatever's being offered now, if it's being offered 5 years from now, you will be able to get it. But if what's being offered now changes, then what's being offered now will no longer be available, and whatever's new and improved, or whatever the going thing is 5 years from now, is what you'll have an option for. So yes, you can cancel if you're not going to use your vision benefits, you don't think, for 5 years. Then if you want to cancel it, yes, you can. And as long as you're still an RPEA member, you'll be able to be offered whatever we have available at that time.
Okay, last question. Uh, Someone says it took 2 years for full coverage. Will AMBA take it from there, or will there be a wait period for full coverage? Currently, he has Delta Dental.
Okay, so under Delta Dental, you may have had a 2-year wait. Under what we have through RPEA, there was never a waiting period. So if you're talking about your current benefits, there might have been a waiting period. Under what we have currently and what we have going newly available, neither one of them have waiting periods for the vision.
Okay.
Or the dental either, I'm sorry.
Great. Candy, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
If anyone else has any follow-up questions, please send them to mail@rpea.org, and we'll answer them. Candy will answer them. Sharon will answer them. You'll definitely get an answer from us on those questions.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Candy. Okay, so our next guest speaker, Tom, is going to introduce him.
Yeah, thank you so much, Diana. Our next guest speaker is coming from the New York State Office for the Aging. His name is Roger Noyes. He's the Director of Public Information He's responsible for all agency communications, digital marketing, media relations, and physical marketing. He previously was the communications director for a community-based Care at Home association, and prior to that was the assistant press secretary for the state senate. So I hope we all can welcome Roger Noyes, and looking forward to the presentation. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Tom and Diana, for having us to speak today. Can everyone hear me okay? Is my audio
Yep, we're
working?
good.
Okay,
Yep,
great.
we're
Thank
fine.
you. I'm actually pinch hitting today for my associate, Charlie Williams, who is the Assistant Director for Healthy Aging and Longevity, who's been very involved in the Master Plan for Aging process, which I'll be talking about in a few minutes. So he had a family emergency or issue that came up yesterday. So he sent me his slides. So I'm going to do my best, but I'll answer as many questions as I can. And if there's anything I have to follow up with people about, happy to do so. I'm kind of the generalist of the agency, working in communications. I know a little bit about a lot of things that are happening, but not the degree of depth that some people otherwise might have about some of the issues I'll be talking about today. But I'm happy to be here, and thank you very much for this opportunity to speak. So just real quick, we always sort of do a level set in all of our presentations about the landscape of aging in New York, especially data. It's really, really important for us at the New York State Office for the Aging to get across the truth of aging, right? Reframing aging and what it means and what people's perception of aging is. And we use a lot of data to do that. We have a lot of data on our website that I'll be sharing in this presentation. I encourage you to look at it and share it, because I think it's an important part of the messaging about what it means to be aging in New York State and the value add of the older adult population in New York State. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing some of the initiatives that we're doing, including the Master Plan for Aging, which I'll talk about later. So in addition to a sort of landscape discussion about aging in New York, I'm going to talk about some of our private-public partnerships that are working to help older adults and support older adults and caregivers as well in New York State. And many of these are free and available and subsidized by our agency. So I'll highlight a few of those. I'll kind of give a sense of them all, but highlight a few of those that are sort of available to everybody. Some of them are kind of pilot projects, and so they're available on a smaller scale basis for study to then possibly branch out and expand statewide. So I'll talk about some of those technology partnerships. The governor's recently enacted state budget. We're fresh off the news of the state budget. We have a lot of good news for older adults in the budget. And then, of course, the Master Plan for Aging process. I'll give a little summary of the process and also where things are to date. In fact, this is very fresh news. We're going to be releasing the final report for the Master Plan for Aging very imminently, possibly as early as next week. We have a few details to kind of finalize in that process, but we're on the verge of releasing that final plan. So details will be coming soon on that. So what characterizes older adults, right? Older adults in New York State, despite the perception and we're constantly battling this perception, right, of institutional health care, frailty. We know that not to be true, right? Older adults consider themselves healthy. We have some data on that for the most part. And they're contributing, they're giving back, and they have a tremendous social and economic impact in New York State, and we talk about that all the time. They're also a highly heterogeneous population, right? That there's a lot of variety in individual needs and diversity of needs, and older adults are living longer, remaining in the workforce longer than previous generations, and are contributing on a wide scale. In fact, 60% of entrepreneurs in New York State are over age 65. So that's a really important data point to get across. We always present that in our presentations. So aging is a normative and lifelong process, and we look at it that way. So when we talk about the Master Plan for Aging later, it's not just about older adults. It's really about creating an environment for people to age successfully in New York State across the lifespan. And that's really, really important, because I think there was a lot of focus maybe earlier on the process of, older adults themselves. And while that is a big part of the focus, obviously, aging is a lifelong process. So we have to create the environments and the structures and the institutions that make aging successful for people of all ages. So distinct from disease and decline, while physical and cognitive changes are a normative part of growing older, aging does not necessarily mean disability. And again, that's an area of focus for us through our work and Master Plan for Aging and other things that we're working on. Before I get to this next slide, I realized in this presentation, I didn't really have a lot of information about our agency, so maybe I should just actually provide that little bit of background. So we're the state unit on aging for New York State, where our services are funded through a partnership of federal, state, and local dollars. A lot of our services are under the Older Americans Act at the federal level. So we provide 20+ core services to older adults and caregivers and other individuals in the community to help individuals age successfully in place. So that could include, for one, we have the largest nutrition program in the country for older adults. We provide home delivered meals, congregate meals, transportation to medical appointments, personal care, case management. We have a health insurance counseling program called HICAP that provides Medicare counseling free of charge to older adults. It's objective information. We have the long-term care ombudsman program that helps provide advocacy for individuals in institutions to help elevate quality of care concerns. So we have 20+ core services that are provided mostly at the local level through your county office for the aging. So if you have a question or need and you want to talk to someone who can help with benefits assistance or help with possibly case management or caregiver supports, the best resource to first start with is your county office for the aging. And I don't think I have it in this slide, but the New York Connects phone number, if anyone is interested, and I can include this in my revised slides, is sort of the one-stop phone number to reach your county office for the aging. And that's at 1-800-342-9871. That's 1-800-342-9871. And I'm happy to provide that in my revised slides and in the chat a little bit later. So getting back to sort of the landscape view of aging in New York and why we're doing a lot of what we're doing here at the Office for the Aging. New York's total population is 19.9 million. Individuals over age 50 represent 36% of the state's population, or over 7 million. New York State also has 4 million unpaid caregivers. We're going to talk a lot about caregiving later in the presentation. It's a very important area of focus for us, because older adults in particular are providing a lot of that care to a spouse and other loved ones in New York State. So we provide those services and those supports, but we also provide those supports for individuals who are of younger age that are caring for someone. And a lot of our work is getting people to know what caregiving is, right? Like self-identifying as a caregiver, because 50% of individuals don't even self-identify as being a caregiver. And so that means, are you helping someone bathe, get dressed? That's really hands-on type of care, but it could be even mowing their lawn, calling their doctor, going to the pharmacy to pick up prescriptions. That's caregiving. And so a lot of our work is helping individuals self-identify and understand that they are in that role, and to get the supports and services that they need to be able to manage that role. And we have some resources that I'll talk about later for helping people who are caregivers. So over half of New York's counties have individuals over 60, accounting for 25% or more of their population. That's growing, right? So our population is aging. And one thing we talk about at the New York State Office for the Aging is that's a good thing. We often hear our director, Greg Olson, often chafes at this language of a silver tsunami or a wave, a tidal wave of the aging demographic. And that's far from the truth. It's not a catastrophe. It shouldn't be talked about in those terms. It's something to be embraced. And that is work that we're doing at the Office for the Aging to embrace this demographic shift because of the amount of volunteerism and engagement that older adults bring back to their communities. So getting to that point, combating ageism and stereotypes, the social, economic, and intellectual capital of the older population. This is information that we're presenting it every time we talk to an audience. It's so important to get this information out because we want to talk in terms that people understand. And economics is a big one, right? Older adults give back economically and they contribute economically, but it's more than that, right? It's their volunteerism. We just had our Older New Yorkers Day ceremony where we celebrated 100 older adults throughout New York State for their volunteerism. amazing stories, people that are working for our ombudsman program as volunteers, going into nursing homes and doing like case assistance with nursing home residents to work through their quality of care concerns. Individuals that are working for our high cap program as volunteers, providing Medicare counseling to their peers, right? Very complex type of individual specific type of work, working through those cases. Individuals that are delivering meals, they're mentoring in schools. One of our top awardees works for an organization called Grandpas United. That's this amazing mentorship program in Westchester County that is getting older men to be, work as mentors to the younger population, and it's amazing work. So we have almost 1 million individuals age 16 over contributing 442 million hours of service at an economic value of $13.2 billion. We would not have a state, national economy, not-for-profit sector without the contributions of older adults. And I feel like I don't need to tell you that, but it's important to just be reminded of that and have a data point that is associated with that fact. And as I said earlier, 4.1 million caregivers at any time, and that work has an economic value. They're doing unpaid work, caregivers in New York State, and the average age of caregivers is 64. Just a little bit more information on background about the economic contribution of older adults. Again, we have actually this data for every county in New York State, if you're interested in it. I'm going to be presenting a lot of data here, so if there's anything, it may be a little much, but if there's anything that you want me to ever drill down into, I can provide some links or further information on this particular slide. We have this for, as I said, for every county in New York State. Just to drill down a little further into the data, the 50 plus population, 36% of the population, contributing 43% to GDP, supporting 5.9 million jobs, generating 482 billion in wages and salary. The reason why we have this data is our director was asked by a radio station to talk about older adults and why they're a drain on society, essentially, a conservative radio station. And he said, I'm not going to do that interview. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my statistician to work through some of this data and present an alternative viewpoint, which is the truth, right? That older adults are contributing and on a large scale. We also have a working caregivers initiative that we've been as I said earlier, trying to get individuals to self-identify as caregivers, understand that role that they have as caregivers by talking about some of the tasks that are involved in caregiving and helping people self-assess. So 1 in 4 adult children, mainly baby boomers, provide care to a parent. The total estimated aggregate lost wages, pension, and social security benefits of caregivers is nearly $3 trillion. Individuals are leaving the workforce. They're feeling work pressure in the workforce to be able to meet the demands, the twin demands of caregiving, right, and work. So we have a whole working caregivers initiative. I can provide the link to that page on our website. That includes a guide that we prepared with the New York State Department of Labor to educate business leaders and to get them animated and understanding about the issue of their working caregivers, the pressures that they're facing, the incidence of mental health symptoms that are attendant with someone who's a working caregiver, and to provide tips and resources to help businesses provide some supports for their employees, in addition to the stuff that we're doing at New York State. And there's just a little bit more information about our Caregiver's Guide for Business, its purpose, and I think that last point is really important. 75% of people trust their employer to provide them with information. So if they're hearing from their employer about something that's going to benefit them in their personal lives when it comes to caregiving or any other issue, it's really important for that for their employer to be a part of the solving as a part of the solution for the caregiving struggles that people face in New York State. So to more data, and this is really exciting. We did our first statewide needs assessment survey in 2023 as part of our 4-year plan for planning and services that goes to the federal government. And we received, let me make sure I have the correct number here. Yeah, we received almost 27,000 responses to this survey. So this survey was direct mailed to individuals over age 60. We had a web link, we got news coverage of it. And so we were able to generate 27,000 responses on hundreds of key data points on what people are feeling, what their views are about their health, their mental health, their community. And some of the statistics are really important and kind of ties into some of the other data points I presented earlier. So let me give you just a few of the key data points here. 72% of older adults consider their overall health to be excellent or good. 82% said the same about mental health or emotional well-being, right? So while we talk a lot about social isolation and the impact on mental health at the New York State Office for the Aging, there is a certain degree of resilience among older adults. And we've actually found that in some cases, the younger population is more affected by social isolation. It has a bigger impact. So 82% of older adults consider their mental health, emotional health good. 78% of older adults call their community an excellent or good place. That's really promising when we're developing a master plan for aging and creating opportunities for people to stay in their community, right? And continue contributing at the levels we discussed earlier in some of those data points, right? Continue to be able to continue to contribute in the community. That's our goal, and be a part, remain in New York State and provide that service and support that older adults do provide to individuals in their community. 71% of older adults said they were somewhat likely to remain in their community through retirement. And nearly 70% of older adults have lived in their community for 20 years or more. One other point that is interesting was that 80%, this wasn't on the slides, 80% of older adults indicated that they had not been hospitalized in the past 12 months. And if we're going to reframe aging as not about infirmity, frailty, the institutional sector, hospitals, long-term care, and about the community, it's important for people to know that older adults generally consider themselves healthy, and they're not, a vast majority of them don't touch those larger systems necessarily. While that needs to be a focus area, the real game is in the community. We have 100,000 nursing homes beds in New York State, but 4.8 million older adults. The real game is in the community, and that's what we do. We'd like to talk really quickly about some of our public-private partnerships using technology to empower older adults. And so ever since really the pandemic, and I mentioned social isolation earlier, really was eye-opening for us about the technology that's available to bridge the digital divide, connect people, make sure that we are keeping people engaged. That's an important part of physical and mental health, right? And supporting caregivers and addressing other what we call social determinants of health, right? Are we able to provide the supports that people need to be able to stay in the community? And so we've engaged in 20 plus public-private partnerships, and I want to just highlight a few of those. There's our award-winning animatronic pet project, which has proven to reduce isolation, loneliness, and pain. We've provided 30,000 of these animatronic pets to older adults in the community, and we've seen a 75% reduction in feelings of loneliness, isolation, and even pain through some of our assessments. Get Set Up is one that I really want to highlight, and I'll encourage you to visit our website and look for this platform. It's right on our homepage under Combating Social Isolation. There's a drop down. Get Set Up is this digital engagement platform that has classes taught by older adults for older adults. So anyone in New York State can use it free of charge. We have brought 4,500 courses to older adults. Actually, this says 200,000 users. We've had 500,000 users at this point. So this data needs to be updated. So 500,000 people in New York State have used this platform to take cooking classes, take art classes, learn how to use, how to do Zoom, right? Learn how to use their smartphone. Any number of health, wellness, digital oriented type training classes but other things other than that. So it's a great opportunity for some individuals to teach a class. So you can, if you're an old adult, you can teach a class and get paid through the platform, or take classes for free if you're a resident of New York State. So I encourage anyone to look into Get Set Up. I'll give you an example of my mom. She's a master gardener. She lives in Clinton County up in Plattsburgh, New York. And she is pretty digitally savvy, but she wanted to like kind of up her game as far as how she was, teaching some of her classes through Cornell Cooperative Extension and other ways that she was, engaging with the public about her work as a master gardener. And so she learned these digital tools that really allowed her to present on a bigger level and be able to work with the tech better, probably better than I can. So she loves the platform, and I encourage others to check it out. We've partnered with GoGo Grandparent that's providing a specialized ride sharing service for older adults in certain counties. Archangels is a platform that provides a caregiver intensity index. We encourage people to check that out. It's also on our website. Basically, it's kind of like a survey. You answer some questions and it will give you a score as far as your caregiving intensity. So if you're a caregiver, you may be in the red, you may be in the green, you may be in the yellow, and that's different levels of intensity. And then it kind of guides you to some resources that can help. That's on our website, as is the New York Caregiver Portal through Trualta. This is free for any caregiver in New York State. I encourage you to check that out on our website as well. It's an evidence-based training and support platform if you're providing care for someone in your life, regardless of age. So it's very personalized, so you can log in, create an account, get personalized information about dementia care, if that's the case. Help with different caregiving tasks, right? Whether it's helping with mobility or what have you. So I would encourage anyone that's in a caregiver role to look at that platform, which really helps build confidence in individuals' caregiving skills. So I won't go through all these, but we have more information on our website. These are all very exciting partnerships that we're doing at multiple levels at the New York State Office for the Aging, and happy to talk about any one of them to anyone that wants more information about them. And there's our report about our partnerships. All right, New York State budget, an historic investment for older adults. So we had one of the largest investments, I think the largest investment in ISOFA state history in this last state budget, thanks to Governor Hochul, in our programs and services. So that's $50 million to cover what's called unmet need in COLA for our services and support. So unmet need is basically a funding pool for wait lists that are occurring throughout local offices for the aging throughout the state. So this money will help draw down those wait lists, and that's funding on top of prior year funding. So it's a really an historic investment in our service infrastructure. So those are wait lists for everything from personal care services to case management to nutrition programs, and that's going to really make an impact on the availability of community-based services throughout the state. We don't just look at our own agency when we examine the budget. So we look broadly at the governor's affordability agenda and how it affects older adults. Older adults don't just touch the New York State Office for the Aging, right? Tax and finance, benefits assistance through the Office for Temporary and Disability Assistance, the Department of Health, right? If you're someone, if you're encountering healthcare needs. So we look at it broadly. So the governor's economic security agenda and affordability agenda is creating, bringing middle-class tax cuts, creating an inflation refund for joint filers up to $150,000, a $400 check to help with affordability, Medicaid investments to expand quality of care, and increase reimbursement rates for those critical healthcare services that are important for maintaining health in the community. The budget also includes pro-housing community technical assistance to help with housing improvements and access to housing, other affordability items, banning rent price fixing, innovative approaches to home building. That's something that we're examining in the master plan for aging. I would say the housing is probably, during the master plan for aging process, was one of the top concerns among older adults throughout the state. So that's a big part of some of the solutions that we're advancing, not only now in the state budget that has just passed, but also in the master plan for aging process, which I'll talk about in a minute here. Just real quick, and I know I'm sort of running short on time. So when we look at the state budget and its outcome for older adults, we see a tale of two cities compared to the federal budget. So we have some major concerns as far as where things are headed. So there's been the dissolution of the Administration for Community Living as we know it. which is our control agency at the federal level, which and a reduction in funding for home delivered and congregate meals at the federal level. And the proposed budget for fiscal year starting October 1 has a number of reductions for core services through the Office for the Aging that are provided at the federal level. So this is distinct from the state level. So I'll let you read this and I'll put this in my slides. I can also send you some information on if this is something you want to reach out to your elected officials about. We have information for that as well, and I can share that link at the end of the presentation. So just really quickly, because this is sort of hot off the presses, the Master Plan for Aging process, just want to talk through this really quickly. So on November 4th, 2022, Governor Hochul signed an executive order to kickstart the Master Plan for Aging process, which has been in work through since that time, to create a blueprint and strategies for the government, the private sector, and not-for-profit sector to support older New Yorkers. As I said earlier, it's not just though about supporting older New Yorkers, it's about creating an age-friendly landscape across the lifespan. So just to give a sense for the process, I think we have a slide here. So we had a stakeholder advisory committee that was involved in this process, a state council of state agencies, the New York State Office for the Aging, and the Department of Health, all working collectively over these past couple of years to create these 38 work groups to identify key areas that we need to sort of tranches or pillars where we need to we're going to develop some proposals. So long-term services supports, home and community-based services, caregiving, as I mentioned earlier, huge focus, health and wellness, housing, safety, security, and technology, and economic security. So work groups, yes?
Roger, excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're coming on to 11
Oh,
o'clock.
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah.
We need to have time for questions. Can you
Yes.
wrap up, please?
Yes, I'm so sorry. So just to kind of wrap that up, the Master Plan for Aging final report is imminently going to be released, possibly as early as next week. It's got 123 about proposals on every area from healthcare services to changing the law as it relates to accessory dwelling units to be able to encourage more housing. So I really encourage everyone on the call today to look for that, and we'll be I can share the website where that will be posted just to read the report, because it's really a triumph of collective problem solving that has been brought to bear on that process. So with that note, I'll open it up for questions. I'll answer as many as I can. I'm sorry that I kind of breezed through that very quickly, but happy to answer any specific questions people have.
Okay, so we have a question about someone who's collecting a pension, but they live out of state. Can they use the New York State Office for the Aging Services?
They're out of state. I'm not sure about that answer. I think that individuals who are using services through their county office for the aging have to reside specifically in that county. So, but if someone wants to write to me, I can get more information on that.
Okay, another question. What is the Office for the Aging doing for older adults, 80 to 90 years, who are being left out of the increasing technology use?
Well, our offices provide assistance and support for individuals that need that kind of help. So a lot of our offices really engage with their local partners. We have not only just the local offices for the aging, but they have 1,200 community partners. In a lot of cases, local offices have their own programs and services that can provide that kind of assistance and support. So I would encourage anyone that needs that assistance to call their local office for the aging and see what services are available at the local level, because every county does things a little bit differently.
Okay, and last question. Somebody commented that the Office for the Aging should count the number of hours that older adults spend caring for their grandchildren.
That's great. Yes. In fact, one of the examples I was going to give was kinship caregivers in the Master Plan for Aging, being able to change the rules regarding senior housing to be able to allow intergenerational arrangements so that someone who is a kinship caregiver and is providing that level of care, which is growing, right? And so I'm thankful for that feedback, and I would be happy to have us tabulate that number and provide that in our documents.
Okay, thank you, Roger. This was a great presentation, a lot of good information for everybody on the call. The meeting, along with the slides and Roger's presentation, will be posted on our website, so you'll be able to look at it again And then if you have any questions, you can send them to us and we can pass them along to him.
Diana, real quick,
Yeah.
is it okay if because I was given these slides and can I make some adjustments and add some things before you
Oh,
post them?
sure,
Is that
yeah.
okay? All right, so maybe
Oh,
by
absolutely,
the
of
end of the
course.
day, I'll try to get you a final version. Thank you for indulging that.
That would be great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure.
And if you could stop sharing your slides,
Yep.
there we go. Okay. So we have a few minutes left. We don't want to keep you, we said 11 o'clock, and we don't want to keep you much longer. We have a couple of issues relating to our advocacy. Is Katie Homan in the call?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, there you are. All right, Katie, Katie Homan is our hardworking, very hardworking lobbyist. So Katie, just do a few minutes on, our advocacy, what happened this year, and we also have some questions now in the chat about our advocacy and legislation.
Hi, everyone. Katie Homan here. I represent RPEA at the state level. Just wanted to let everybody know that the 25 legislative session wrapped up this past week. The Senate finished on June 13th, and the Assembly finished this week. Some of our points of advocacy were the skilled nursing facility bill, which made it to 2 final committees before going to the floor, however, did not make it to the floor in either house. And we understand that was due to the skilled nursing facility legislation having a fiscal implication and needing to be done in the budget. We have met with those bill sponsors of the skilled nursing facility, so we are going to continue to work together this summer, getting some more information possibly from all of you, working with the legislators to talk to civil service, the governor's office. So we'll continue some outreach to you guys on what we would need in terms of advocacy to continue that aspect. Another piece of legislation which we followed was increasing the salary cap for retirees from $35,000 to $50,000 a year. That did make it through the Senate onto the floor and passed unanimously last week by Senator Chris Ryan, who is new from the Syracuse area. He was a huge proponent towards the end. He was even advocating on the Assembly side the last few days as well. However, we did hear that there was some pushback on the Assembly side from some members around the legislation. So unfortunately, it wasn't able to make it over the finish line. There are multiple groups that are working on this legislation: the Sheriff's Association, municipal associations, public safety municipal associations. So we're looking to continue to work with them and figure out how we can come together and speak with the governor's office this summer about including this in the budget for next year. We were told that it is a priority for the Senate again, and we'll continue to work with them on this piece of legislation. In terms of where we are as a state, as you know, we are adjourned for the session for 2025 session. There is talks that the Senate and Assembly may come back with the governor's approval for a special session in early fall to do anything that may need to counteract anything that may happen at the federal level based on the federal budget. So that's something that will be pending come early fall, and we will keep you guys posted on all of that. Usually when legislators and the governor agree to a special session, the agenda is already defined, so they don't take up bills outside of kind of other sponsored legislators and other things. It's a dedicated agenda and approved before they come into town. I'm sure you've seen on the news, some legislators are actually calling for an additional special session to deal with some of the federal issues in terms of Medicaid, as well as the immigration issues happening in New York, but we don't believe that they will come back outside of doing something that kind of reflects what happens at the federal level with the budget. A few more things. The Office of the Comptroller recently released a report, I believe it was this past Saturday, about the state budget and some concerns that he had. Spending is up 5.2% from the previous budget year, and the Office of the State Comptroller has directed that this may be an issue, especially where we are with cuts that may come from the federal level. So I'll make sure that, Diana, do we know if we send that report out, or I can share it with you guys this afternoon, the Comptroller's report, to
Why
see
don't you
that?
share it and we'll send it out. Thanks.
Absolutely. It's a little bit in depth. The Comptroller gets into very specific pots of money where we spend on education, where we spend on health in New York State. So it's a very interesting report, and getting his point of view was interesting to see where we may go in the next few months. And kind of one thing to also think about, we're heading into an election cycle for the governor and state legislature come 2026. So how that kind of impacts what the state's going to be doing in terms of an election cycle and legislative policy. So we're keeping a very close eye on that as we head into the summer and kind of what the governor's agenda comes out based on her race and who she chooses to carry as her lieutenant governor, and as well as the state and assembly seats for the Senate. I don't want to do too much because I know we want to be able to get to some questions around some legislation. So I do just want to point out two other things. The Senate is having a hearing on July 9th in regards to the CDPAP program for caregivers in New York State. This program went into effect on April 1st. However, the rollout for caregivers to be working with the state and individuals has sort of been a little bit troublesome, to say the least. So the Senate is looking to hold a hearing with the Senate Health Committee and Senate Investigation. So something I'll be keeping you guys posted on too. We expect that to be a very lengthy hearing and be very interesting. We are expecting a lot of groups to be testifying and providing testimony. So something to keep an eye on just in terms of where we're at. And one thing that came out today, the governor is cautioning everybody there's going to be extreme heat for the next few days and very severe thunderstorms. So I'll be sharing that press release with all of you too, just to take some additional precautions the next few days and kind of what to expect. Possible power outage based on overpower of the grid with everyone running their air conditionings. Make sure you have water, potential outages throughout the state and everybody staying safe. So I will make sure I share that with everyone as well. And then I think we'll go to questions. I think.
Okay, so Katie, talk about the COLA bill. We did have a question about the status of the COLA bill, please.
Yes. So we have a COLA bill that we decided to break into two pieces this past year. We had met with Senator Jackson's office, Assemblymember Pfeffer Amato. Assemblymember Pfeffer Amato had asked that we provide her with our exact language. She tried to get included in the budget this year back in March. Unfortunately, she was unsuccessful, but we will be continuing to work with both bill sponsors on our preferred language for the COLA. We're deciding to split the bill in two halves and not do the catch-up provision along with the increasing the base from 18,000 to 21. So we'll have some more information on that once we have the bills introduced properly with the proper bill numbers. And that is going to be our big push. We have spoken with Assemblymember Pfeffer Amato. She is going to be championing legislation for retirees this year. She has indicated to us that they've done a lot of work on current state employees in terms of the Tier 6 provisions and things like that. And now she's going to focus, as well as being the chair of civil service, to kind of focus on retirees. So we're hoping to build on that momentum with her and, sit down with her a little bit more, share some more information. She's been a great ally to us, and I think we can continue that conversation with her. Senator Jackson had put in our original COLA bill that does not split it in two, so we're working with his office to break that into two. Again, this bill carries a very big fiscal implication, so we do have to make sure we're advocating to the governor's office and Division of Budget because it is something we're going to need to have included in the budget.
Okay, so there was a question about any information about the tax cut and the inflation refund checks that the governor proposed. My understanding is Department of Tax and Finance is supposed to send information out about that. Is that right?
Yes, correct. Actually, the governor actually put out a press release this week, putting out some more information on that. I will share that with you guys about kind of where to keep things out. The check should be sent out automatically. Nobody has to go on and do anything specific in terms to receive that money. It'll be based on former tax filings. I don't have a specific time frame. We like to think these things will go out smooth sailing, but I think there will be some hiccups with it. So I'll provide you with that press release that came out this week, but they should be starting to roll out in the near future. That's what we were told.
Okay, something I wasn't made aware of until someone here told us about it. The New York State Court of Appeals ruled on Wednesday that New York City has the right to terminate Medicare coverage for the 250,000 New York City retirees. This is an issue we have been involved in from practically day one. Can you talk about that decision, please?
Yeah, so this decision came down. We are monitoring this closely. This is something that we are going to have to up at the state level in terms of our advocacy with legislative members because we don't want the state to decide to do this either. We are keeping an eye on this. Again, we are heading into a mayoral election too. So there is a time frame that the new mayor has time to look back on previous things that the previous mayor has done in some things. So we'll be keeping an eye on this. We do believe there will be an additional appeal to this. So keeping in mind that this is an ongoing issue, we just need to make sure we are not having an issue at the state level. The bill at the state level to protect retiree benefits is carried by Assemblymember Pfeffer Amato and was previously carried by Senator Pete Hartcomb from the Hudson Valley level. he recently rescinded his support of this legislation. So we are going to be working with Assemblymember Pfeffer Amato about a new Senate sponsor on the legislation and really working together and working on some messaging. She did inform me that she has told the unions that this is something she feels very strongly about and will be continuing to support. So we're going to help with that with the member, other legislative leaders. If we need to do some additional outreach that she may ask us to do to legislative members, we are on board to help her 150%.
So just a little bit more on that. This is New York City government's plan to change over its quarter of a million retirees over to a Medicare Advantage plan without their permission, to save money for the state, which, from what I've read, would actually be to give union members an increase or additional benefits. That was the deal that they made. So the unions supported this. There was an ad hoc group that was formed, which we became a part of, to fight this through the courts. And they have won their case at every turn except for apparently now. So RPEA's position is that no one should be forced into any health plan without their permission, and that's the advocacy position that we'll be taking on this. So I think that's it, and we're a little over 11 o'clock. Thank you, Katie. Appreciate your updates. We'll be sending you out updates too, as we get them as well. So we don't
I'm
want to
going
keep.
to synthesize
Sure.
everything I talked about today and some information. So there's links to the press releases we talked about, to some additional information just to send out to the membership for some current stuff that's happening. A lot happened in the last week with the legislature wrapping up. So it's been a busy time.
Great, and that'll be very helpful. Thank you so much. So thanks again for being with us. Thanks for spending your time with us. And as Katie said, be careful between the heat and the thunderstorms. And I saw in my email there's a little tornado warning maybe. So just be really careful. And thanks for your participation. And we hope you all have a great rest of your day. We will be posting this meeting to our website, so you can take a look at it again if you want to, and we'll be sending out all this information that we talked about. So thanks. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.